This is 7 News, the voice of the border.
Tonight, outrage and frustration as the federal government rips up plans for the Rutherglen bypass.
After more than 80 years, a Corryong sawmill forced to shut up shop.
And the Border's Health Service supporting efforts to deliver full-term babies.
7 News begins now.
Good evening. The federal government has been slammed for axing funding for the Rutherglen bypass after decades of planning.
It's one of 12 Victorian projects to be culled, with angry locals calling it a $96 million mistake.
An uphill battle with a devastating final destination.
I'm bitterly disappointed.
Since 2017, getting the B-doubles off Main Street has been Indigo Shire councillor Roberta Horne's mission. She's been lobbying for a pedestrian crossing and a heavy vehicle bypass route, diverting trucks from town.
The traffic has to give way to the pedestrians. We're here, we have to give way to the traffic.
5 years ago, council was promised $4 million for the build with a 2020 completion date. Ms Horne says she knew it was all too good to be true.
To have it ripped from out of us, even with the balance of that $4 million, they could have implemented some traffic safety devices in our town.
It's one of the 50 projects in the planning stage to be axed, with a large majority of those on the region's most notorious roads. With trucks roaring through town, it means attracting customers won't get any easier for Main Street business owners like Kate Accra.
We don't produce a lot of business from the trucks. Some business owners do, mostly early morning trade, but the cattle trucks aren't necessary down the main street of a historical town.
Tired of her heritage building rattling as traffic rushes past, she's doubtful she'll ever see a quiet Main Street.
It's going to take a life, probably, before anything changes.
Even those from out of town are clued in to Rutherglen's headache.
You could have an elderly person walk across one of the traffic island areas and they feel safe.
Absolutely.
Not this.
The Shadow Minister for Regional Development has slammed the federal government after citing the project as lacking in rationale that doesn't meet government priority. She says it's another oversight on our rural roads.
For the Labor government to slash funding to rural projects shows the level of disrespect and disregard they have for those of us that live and work in rural and regional communities.
Phoebe Worthley, 7 News.
And today, trucking magnate Ron Finnemore has weighed in on the other victim of the government's cuts, the McCoy Street intersection off the Hume. Jacqueline Stanley is there now, and Jackie, there's widespread disappointment today.
Yes, Nick, many believe that when a truck pulls out of this intersection behind me, it's an accident waiting to happen. But for many disappointed locals, it seems this long-fought battle is coming to an end without a resolution. But trucking magnate Ron Finnemore has weighed in on the controversy. He's told 7 News that he once considered moving his trucking depot to the site where the petrol station is now. And while former PM Scott Morrison did make this promise, in Mr Finnemore's view, responsibility for the funding falls with the government of the day.
Something's going to have to get done with it sometime in the future, but it's a real safety issue. Honestly, I looked at years ago relocating our depot to out there and looked at that intersection and said, no way, it was too dangerous.
Nick, the remaining question is whether the Victorian government can step in and fill that funding gap. But a spokesperson has told us this afternoon that they have accepted the federal decision to cut those 12 projects across the state.
OK, thanks for the update, Jackie. That's Jacqueline Stanley at the McCoy Street intersection.
A parliamentary inquiry has agreed that a border high school might benefit from extra high security fencing. Both parents and school staff say a higher fence is urgently needed at Wodonga Middle Years College to protect the school from violence. In May, several parents sounded the alarm after a fight broke out between 2 teenage girls, one climbing the school's fence to attack the other.
I think we're in discussions today and with the building authority, the Victorian School Building Authority. I believe we're very close to signing a contract to have that fence constructed.
The school's submission to the inquiry also details teacher shortages and aggressive student behaviour.
Today marked the final chapter of a long, rich history in the region's timber milling industry. Walker's Sawmill in Corryong saw the last load of pallets get trucked out of the site today as its heartbroken workers watched on.
It was a devastating day for these 25 workers.
Sad for Corryong, sad for the town.
They watched on as the last of Walker's Sawmill pallets were loaded onto the truck and driven away.
It's just a page being just torn out of the book. Yeah, the book wasn't finished, but it won't be. It'll never be finished.
Gary Williams and his brother Stephen have worked at the mill for decades. The pair now concerned what this closure will mean for the town.
A lot of them probably will have to leave the area to go and find work elsewhere now, so that's the sad reality of it all, actually.
Ken Ralston has been driving to Corryong since he was a teenager. Today he finished up his final voyage, marking the end of the mill's 90-year history in the region.
So all the little latte, soy milk coffee, decaf coffee drinkers in the city are now happy, but we're now importing logs from Brazil.
The decision to shut down the state's timber industry by the Andrews Labor government earlier this year, the workers say, has had a devastating ripple effect for the entire community.
Supports the schools with donations, churches, local events like Man from Snowy River Festival and the local show.
Operations will officially wrap up just before Christmas, but for many of the workers, today feels like the end of an era for the Walker Sawmill.
They take you on board like a family, so that it's just been a wonderful journey for me.
The Walker family legacy, which has been passed down through generations, ceases today, but there's still hope for the site's future.
We just hope that we can dream up an industry that will be able to resurrect something out of the work site and move forward.
Clesianta, 7 News.
Thousands of babies are born too early and parents have told of the traumatic and confusing time. Their stories come as Albury Wonga Health joins a national effort to prevent babies coming early.
Peaceful and precious, born far too early. A start to life that's turbulent, stressful and often touch and go.
The first days were beautiful but also horrible.
Stephanie Suter's firstborn, Jackson, born at 26 weeks, weighing 800 grams, had a difficult start in life.
That night we got a phone call at 2 a.m. saying that he was severely sick and had sepsis of the blood and he possibly won't make it through the night.
And her second, now 3 years old, Bonnie, was born at 36 weeks, not able to go any further.
At the risk of myself and her passing away.
This is the reality for 1 in 12 babies. Trips back and forth from city hospitals, kept inside incubators. A preterm birth is the leading cause of death and disability in children under 5 years old.
So we want to do anything we can to reduce that risk.
Wodonga's Birth Suite unit manager Cameron Littlewood knows better than many. 6 months ago, his own baby Briar was born early, spending 3 weeks getting special care in the nursery.
We had a good understanding of what would happen, but it doesn't make it any easier, and that was probably the biggest learning, that it's really hard.
The experience itself, a huge wake-up call for the health professional.
You're like, these babies are fine, we're looking after them, we're going to make sure they're safe and they're going to go home. But until you experience it, can be really hard. Really hard.
Albury Wonga Health has joined a national effort to safely prevent preterm and early term birth, helping parents cope with the confusing and traumatic time so that babies born too soon can grow up to being as happy as Jackson is at 5 years old. Jacqueline Stanley, 7 News.
Rutherglen was tickled pink today with cyclists coasting through town for breast cancer. A mob of riders donned a touch of pink on the Rutherglen Rail Trail. AFLW Hawthorn player Sophie Locke says this year's ride is a special one for her.
Last year I lost my mum to breast cancer. She was diagnosed in 2013. Fought a good fight, but unfortunately, we lost her last year. So, this one means a lot to me for this fundraiser today.
Money raised goes to the Borders Cancer Centre.
Well, Kirsty joins us now for a look at today's weather. And Kirsty, what a way to end the working week.
Yeah, Maddie and Nick, a beautiful, gorgeous Friday across the northeast. Plenty of clear skies for our Friday. We did see those maximum temperatures today sitting around the low to mid-20s. Some breezy winds this morning swinging out of the southeast, but they did ease off into the afternoon, swapping direction during the day as well. 26 for Culcairn today, 25 today in Beechworth. And those minimums were cooler as well, down to 5 degrees in Rutherglen, thanks to clear skies overnight as a result of that high pressure system moving overhead. Around the high country, we even saw those minimums return to sub-zero. We are expecting our weekend ahead to be hot and sunny, but rainfall is on the horizon from Monday. I'll have a look at that full forecast a little later.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kirsty. We'll see you soon.
Still to come in 7 News, Corowa celebrates its famous link to one of Australia's most famous paintings.
And the budding entrepreneurs behind our latest social enterprise. Welcome back. Beechworth students are among the thousands participating in a social enterprise program. This morning they hosted a morning tea in Beechworth celebrating their achievements.
ACRE, a proud social enterprise, has made it their mission to educate primary and secondary students about businesses for good.
It's specifically set up to tackle a social or environmental issue, and the profits get distributed back to those causes that people care about.
Since 2016, ACRE has taught an online program in Australia called Social Enterprise Schools. Around 24,000 students have designed, developed and launched social enterprises that they then trade to their community and donate funds to chosen charities.
Social Enterprise Schools is a great way of blending those entrepreneurship skills to create your own job, whilst also making a contribution to society at the same time from a really early age.
Beechworth Montessori school students joined ACRE and Indigo Power at Old Beechworth Jail for a morning tea, reflecting on their efforts.
You get to have that achievement that you've made them and sold all this money and now you've raised all this money for a cause.
We've made dog toys and dog bandanas.
We came up with the idea for screen printed t-shirts because me and my friend really love art and we think it'd be good to share our art.
When we see kids that move through having business experience and social enterprise experience in primary school, then they take that optimism with the know-how and knowledge they have into high school, and the things that they're coming up with are absolutely extraordinary.
ACRE says the number of certified social enterprises in Australia grows at 30% each year, with clear reason.
More and more people are starting social enterprises in rural communities, particularly to solve a local issue or to create a new opportunity.
Rochelle Ponikovic, 7 News.
National Agriculture Day was celebrated on one of Australia's most historically significant farms. The New South Wales Farmers Association met with a Corowa farmer on the same farm where shearing the rams was first sketched in 1888. Today, the Tom Roberts painting is shown in the National Gallery of Victoria.
Up next in 7 News, we preview one of the best rounds of local cricket.
And high hopes for the Bandits with a 6'8" signing.
Welcome back. Saturday shapes as the best round of the provincial cricket season so far. 5 of the 6 games are expected to be even contests, highlighted by a top-of-the-ladder clash.
St Pat's and North Albury have won 4 of their first 6 games, but a win or loss could be significant this weekend. The match is at Xavier High School, with the winner potentially second and the loser dropping possibly to 8th.
They've got a pretty good record against North at home the last few years, and North had a huge win last week as well against Corrie, so it should be a cracker. And it's a huge game. Both, could decide in the top 3 spots later in the year.
Belvoir and East Albury have more wins than anyone so far, with 5 each. The top of the table clash will be played at Belvoir's home at Kelly Park, and form is on their side.
It's a good chance for them to show that they've improved a lot and can push into the top 4, which I think they can, East. But the way Belvoir played the last 2 weeks, like torching North and Lavington as well, you'd expect them to get the job done at home.
Corowa will play in front of another healthy crowd as they welcome Lavington and recruit former Aussie international player Dan Christian.
Hopefully they can perform with another big crowd, and it's a must-win for both teams really. So, yeah, it should be a close one. And, yeah, they've played some close games the last couple of years.
Just 2 sides are yet to win this season, and barring a tie, that changes tomorrow when Wodonga hosts New City.
Yeah, it's hard to say. They've both been pretty inconsistent. So, Wodonga went all right last week when we were there against Albury with the bat. So hopefully the Dogs can sneak home.
Barranduda are at home to Tallangatta, who have an opportunity to jump from 7th to 4th. And the final game sees Albury back at Bilson Park against Wodonga Raiders.
Albury played brilliant last week and batted really well. If they can do something similar, they'll get the job done there.
Stephen Murphy, 7 News.
Meanwhile, in district cricket, 2 of the league's top contenders meet. Yakandana took over top spot from Dedarang last weekend, but that could change with the pair to meet tomorrow. Holbrook will get the chance of a first win tomorrow in Hume League when they take on Rand, who themselves have just 1 win this season. And it's the second day of Wangaratta and District's Round 5 with Ovens Valley facing a big run chase against Beechworth. It's the silly season for basketball signings, and Bandits have landed themselves a big present. New recruit Callan McDonald is set for a big impact in 2024 in more ways than one.
In basketball, size matters, and at 6'8", the Albury-Wodonga Bandits men's newest addition is the gift they wanted.
So I grew up playing for Hawthorn Magic and Camberwell Dragons in inner city Melbourne, where I'm from, eastern suburbs. And then last year in NBL 1, I played for Melbourne Tigers under Andrew Gaze. So pretty good tutelage came through, and now I'm here.
A late arrival to basketball, Callum McDonald could be anything next season. At just 24, he is coming into the prime of his sporting career and ready to showcase he belongs.
I started basketball quite late compared to others. I've only really been playing NBL 1 for last year was my first year I got proper minutes. So I think for me, I have a lot of room for growth, and I'm really excited for that. I think this is the perfect place to really cultivate my talent and get fit and get ready to play. So I'm really excited to push forward.
Nearly averaged 10 rebounds a game last season in the South for a really good Melbourne Tigers team. And he fills a need that we have at that position. Someone who can come in, do the dirty work, be a really good team player, play defence and rebound.
McDonald's signature comes on the back of Jacob Sincharak and Lachlan Cummings also signing. And Bandits were a club McDonald fell in love with even before they contacted him.
The crowd and everything, I loved it up here. And ever since then, as soon as Matt reached out to me, I was so excited to get up here. It was amazing. Everyone I've spoken to here has been so nice. I just love that community feel a part of the club and the culture.
The club will announce more signings in the lead up to Christmas as it looks for its first Eastern Conference playoff appearance.
I'm a very hard-working, team-orientated guy. I'm going to do the little things really well. I think my best attribute is probably rebounding, passing, playing defense, and hopefully score a few points on the side as well. But I hope to be a really big glue guy, culture guy for the team, and help us win some games.
Stephen Murphy, 7 News.
Local cricket umpire Kieran Watson is getting ready for a big transformation. Watson is one of the most recognisable officials in the game with his long beard, but not for long. Tomorrow he'll be shaving it all off to raise money for type 1 diabetes, which Watson himself lives with. The beard's been growing strong since 2018, with the shave set to take place at the Goona Golf Club tomorrow, and you can donate if you want to. Just head to the Blue Army website. Albury have a point to prove in both women's and men's water polo this weekend. After making a statement with a 1-goal win over defending premiers the Sharks last weekend, doesn't get any easier. The Tigers will meet a premiership favourite in Stingrays on Sunday, with the win potentially moving them into top spot.
They need to make a shot soon as Duck sits up, fires and scores.
An improving Albury women's team is also out to make a statement against Sharks. Tigers have been consistent this year but have just 1 win. In the other women's clash, topsides Pool Pirates are expected to easily account for Stingrays. Up next in 7 News, Kirsty's got your local weather and your weekend forecast. That's next.
Good evening, everyone. A high-pressure system lying over Victoria and southwest New South Wales will promote mostly stable and settled weather for the coming weekend. But a trough is forecast to move through Queensland into New South Wales and Victoria on Sunday, delivering widespread rain into next week. Now, up to 30 millimetres could fall across the northeast region, heaviest on Tuesday at this stage, but we can expect thunderstorms to develop well into mid-next week too. On to our weekend forecast, we are expecting a mostly sunny and settled Saturday across our region under our clear blue skies. Winds becoming lighter out of the south and the southeast at around 20 kilometres an hour. Beechworth reaching the high 20s, the mid-20s in Omeo. Wangaratta sunny and 29 degrees. Warmer weather forecast for Sunday though. Albury, Wodonga, a patchy cloudy 33 degrees. That is ahead of some showers developing early next week. A bit of patchy cloud around once again with those winds remaining light, barely a breeze at this stage. Mansfield heading for a top of 30 degrees and of course the high 20s as well for parts of our region, including Omeo. But it's Monday when we're expecting that wet weather to move into our region. As little as a millimetre, but as much as 6 to 7 millimetres could fall throughout the day, driven by thunderstorms and that instability in the atmosphere as those troughs combine with that heat. We could see quite humid weather as well, with still very mild temperatures. Mount Buller, a top of 19 degrees. We are expecting that wet weather to track through into mid next week as well, certainly needing some rainfall across the region, but we will be keeping an eye on these rainfall totals over the next few days. First, a sunny and hot weekend to enjoy.
Yeah, that's it. Plenty of sunshine around this weekend. Right. Thanks, Kirsty.
That's your local news for tonight. Thanks for your company. You can catch up on our website or, of course, at 7+.
7 News from Melbourne is next. Enjoy your weekend and we'll see you on Monday at 6 o'clock.